What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? Can you see me now?
Oh, yes.
Can
Oh,
you see me
yes.
now?
Looking forward to it, man. Woo!
You know, let me just say, before we get neck deep into the doctor of thugonomics,
Yes.
the leader of the chain gang,
Yes.
how awesome is it in retrospect now, watching that intro go back and seeing that picture of us pop up with the kings of wrestling now that Claudio Castagnoli is all elite.
Yes. Dig it the most. I dig it. And for point of reference, we have a part of this on the way home. So CC, we thank you for listening on your drive back from work. God bless you. Definitely going to be a visual show as well. You have to go back and watch later because it should be a fun couple hours, to the very least. And we are going to be done before Raw because hopefully he kicks off the show.
Yeah. We were talking before we came on the air. There are only two scenarios.
Yes.
Either he is the first thing trotted out there,
Yes.
the pony trotted out to do his trick to kick things off,
That's it.
or you save him and just show highlights of his career all night.
Yep.
And you trot him out there to be the main event.
As he should
And
be for today.
A certain tribal chief get upset that the main event spotlight is being focused on a 20-year vet and not the current, reigning, undisputed, unified champion. And
Yes.
goes out there to demand his acknowledgement.
Well, Lord knows he did that around this time last year with John. So we'll see how it plays out.
Let's be honest. If there's going to be a special match at Mania and Rocky's not going to be it, Roman Cena 2 could definitely be it, with the seeds being planted tonight.
I'd be okay with that. And yes, Michael, I don't think anybody watching, participating, whatever, can believe it's been 20 years since his debut against Kurt Angle on that episode of SmackDown 20 years ago today. Just absolutely banana, as Pat Patterson would have said, very likely. And
the champ is here.
Yes. Not that belt, maybe, but it's
again, we joked off the air. If he ever got his hands on this belt, he would become an instant heel.
Yes.
Because we love John.
Yes.
Don't get us wrong.
We all know this, yes.
But him holding this belt, no.
Yeah. But it's funny. We've been advertising this show since we conceived of it, back however long ago it was. And I've been using the graphic of his matches. And then when you show me the picture that came of memory, it's like, there's a picture of the dads with the subject. Why am I not using this, you dipshit producer man, you? So
not only is there a picture of the dads with the subject, there's a picture of the dads with the subject that was taken 11 years ago today.
Yes.
Which coincidentally also happened to be the night that a certain other superstar dropped a huge pipe bomb on Las Vegas, crashed No DQ's web servers.
Yes.
Turned the wrestling world on its ear.
Yes.
But to think that in and of itself was 9 years after the debut of John Cena.
Yeah. And ironic, the irony of you wearing that person's shirt, Mr. Pipe Bomb, in our graphic, and I know you have the graphics up on your end, so I'll go ahead and let you throw that up there at your leisure. But, the fact that you're wearing the Punk Nexus shirt in that picture while we're posing with John, and by the way, hello to you too, Miss Lee. It's good to see you in the chat room. Good to see you.
Nice to see you joining us for this episode.
Yes, definitely good to see you here. Good to see you along for the ride. That was, again, it's June. It's Vegas. It's hotter than a mucker feather. Let's not lie. We got
people already thought I was insane wearing a black shirt in June Vegas heat.
Yeah.
Jeff actually had the right idea this time, wearing the white shirt.
Yes, still wearing the black hat.
Although, big men sweating, quite a few sweat stains, I'm sure, in that shirt by the end of the day.
Very likely. I will say this. The only thing hotter than walking from the Flamingo where our car was parked, out on the strip the next morning, because we did sleep because it was a long night of Drunk Jeff on the air, for the most part, and trying to get somebody some action. Freaking wussy. Anyway, damn you, Mikey. I'm gonna throw him under the bus. Whatever. I don't care.
David brings up a good question. Let's go ahead and address.
Yes, I was going to say yes.
We are
I was getting there.
2 matches this time, David.
Yeah.
You know, as easy as it would be to cover Cena promos, and maybe it actually would have been easier for me.
Yeah.
Than trying to go back through the network that is the Peacock and revisiting some of these matches, because I could just pop on my Word Life DVD,
right,
and there's 10 promos right there, easy. And that's only within the first couple of years of his existence.
Yes. Well, you and I both know how difficult it is to sift through the cock and find the quality material. So it's gotta work hard to get that properly motivated. But I'm sure you did a masterful job, in spite of, let's be honest, you not being a fan of a lot of his library there early on in the or not early on, in the middle point of Cena. Yeah, at the peak. There you go.
I was definitely a Cena fanatic, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw this graphic up because I'm sure it's gonna be covered, if not by me, but by you also. But I was a Cena fanatic from this point.
There you go.
Pretty much all the way up until he got drafted to Raw.
Right.
When he got drafted to Raw and the company began to change around him.
Right.
Was when I just kind of started to fall off on him, because it became that point where he was shoved forcibly down our throats.
Quite so. Yes.
And you had guys like Brock, who granted had already left by that point, but you had guys like Orton. You had Hunter and Shawn and Shelton, who was breaking out.
Yep.
You had guys that definitely deserved some of that shine, some of that spotlight, and it was all focused on one man.
Yes.
That's where I started to fall off of the Cena love.
Absolutely. And some would say
in recent years that I kind of got some of that back for the man, because again, hindsight being that cursed year we don't talk about, it's easy to go back now and kind of see what he brought to the dance in those years, why he was in that position, why he became that guy. You can still go back and forth and argue, was it justified? Was it the right call? Maybe, maybe not. Should it have been Orton instead of Cena? You go back and forth about Orton's immaturity, but it's one of those things.
Kedrick, you have no idea.
Yeah. He's definitely right up there, Prior to the conception of Monday Nitro, argument could definitely be made for Hogan.
Yep.
As being one of the biggest company guys ever. Undertaker's
definitely, I think, number one.
Austin. Yep. Rock. You want to go outside of the E, Tommy Dreamer, as far as ECW goes.
Yep.
WCW
Sting.
Yeah, Sting, Flair.
Well,
Flair had his issues with the company, which led him to the F and then back.
Right.
But
yeah,
you can't think of Flair without either thinking of that belt that I held up or the big gold.
Right. Brett's a solid argument. I don't think he would have left if he had not been
want to leave.
Yeah.
He was forced to leave.
Yep. And made no bones about the fact how hurt he was, which is why he didn't come back for as long as he did.
Yeah.
So I would say John is definitely in the discussion.
Yeah.
Because
top 10 definitely, top 5 probably, top 3 maybe.
Yeah.
But definitely in that convo.
Yeah, you ask him, it would be a tremendous surprise to everybody if he were to show up on any other wrestling programming except Raw, NXT, or SmackDown. I honestly, and no, not main event either, like Judgment Day had to do the other last week.
We went there.
I did.
We've come full circle since open mic night, so I guess it's a good time for me to start my list then.
There you go.
All right. So I told Jeff off the air, like I kind of touched on, trying to navigate Peacock to go back and watch 20 years of Cena matches. No. Just not happening.
No.
So what I tried to do was I tried to think of some of my favorite opponents of Cena's and then pick matches to represent those opponents.
Right.
So are all of these going to be, highly ranked on the Meltzer scale? Probably not. But these are the matches that I think of when I think of some of Cena's greatest rivals, which was a poll question, and we'll get to the results of that as we transition between me and Jeff.
I'm glad you brought that up. Cool. Very good. There you go.
So I'm going to kick this off with a match that definitely, although Cena was involved, this match had nothing to do with Cena.
Yes.
Him and Rocky versus the Awesome Truth.
Good call. Good description leading in. I agree.
This match was about showing the world that Rocky still had it.
Yep.
Which is why it definitely appeared on my Rocky list.
Yes, right. I remember that. Yes.
But Cena was an integral factor in that because we were building towards their Mania confrontation.
Yep.
Which I'm sure will be on one of our lists.
Maybe.
But this match right here, I feel, is just a great jump-off point because, again, it wasn't about Cena, but it was integral to the feud between him and Rocky.
Right. Yep.
At the end of the day, the Awesome Truth were just placeholders in their own match.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that awful?
Like, you could have really thrown almost any team into that role for that match.
Agreed.
And that's the sad part about it.
Yeah.
But they did so good. Truth was on a level that I hadn't seen him since like 04 TNA.
I'm going to say early Truth. Yeah. Yeah.
And when I look at where he's gone since then, granted, a lot of it by his own design.
Of course.
I still shake my head because there was such potential. If there was ever going to be a time for him to be the champ, it was during that run and feud with Cena when he was doing the little Jimmy stuff.
Yep. As hokey as it would have been,
that was the opportunity. Even if it was just transitional, he lost it for a month. Cena got it back the next pay-per-view.
Yep.
You think of some of the championships that have given to people over the years as like thank you for everything you've done. We're going to let you hold this for a cup of coffee.
Right. I will say this about the chat room. I do see people bringing up other matches. I am starting the comments to come back to them when that match gets brought up. I promise.
Yeah. Keep in mind, folks, this is just my number 10. I'm not even looking at the comments right now. And I see that there's 13 comments that I haven't seen. So
yes,
it's nuts. Just give me some time, y'all.
And remember, the way we do Dad's Live when we're doing our top 10 list is Jay looks at the graphics while he's doing his, and I do the comments. Then we switch one way or the other. So
and I'll be monitoring the comments while Jeff does his list.
So I'm seeing the comments right now. So JJ can't see what's being addressed. So if a match gets brought up that he's talking about, I will be more than happy to throw that comment up. So fear not, children. Fear not. And yes, Mike makes a good point. The match wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Truth in the first place, though, because Truth really started that craziness path, back at Capital Punishment and leading to that. So
number 9 on my list is a match that me and you always talk about how it ended incorrectly.
Yep.
But the fact that he was the last man standing, Team WWE versus the Nexus at that SummerSlam. And I always kind of come back to this match because I was there.
Yep, we both were.
I have an affinity for this match because I got to see it live. You know, going back in retrospect, you know, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was booked badly. The match
Yes.
itself was executed very well,
Right.
but it was booked badly.
Yes.
But in the heat of the moment while I was there, I was so caught up in this match.
Exactly.
You know, should Cena have been the last man standing and been able to overcome the numbers advantage that the Nexus had in their favor? Absolutely not. But he's Super Cena. You know, and exactly, Michael, this was peak Super Cena. That's why he did.
Yep.
But man, being able to see Bret Hart come down to the ring and wrestle a match at Staples Center in my backyard
Yep.
after not thinking you'd be able to see him in the ring again.
Yep.
You know, despite what he did at Mania.
Yeah.
But the return of Daniel Bryan as the mystery opponent to fight against the Nexus that he was supposed to be a part of.
Yeah. Again, in that graphic, for the first and only time that I can recall, Cena and the man you can't see are on the same team.
Yeah, Cena
That's
and
scary
Vacant
shit.
are in the same team. You know,
That's frightening.
that is proof positive that Cena cannot be vacant.
That's right.
Like for years, you never saw me and Batman in the same place. Then I was at a Hooters across the street from the Long Beach Convention Center during a Comic-Con, and Batman walked in. And goddamn it, there went my story.
Shit. So there it
but
is.
I mean, overall, like I say, was it one of the greatest matches ever? Is it a Meltzer classic? No. It was horribly booked. Nexus should have owned that match.
Yep.
But it was and still is a fun match to go and revisit.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you watch the Raws leading up to it and all the hype and the bubbling. And, you know, we think Miz is about to be the mystery partner with his Money in the Bank briefcase. But then out comes Daniel Bryan. And man, being a guy who had seen Bryan on the indie circuit, a PWG regular, see our boy come out there in our backyard and be that guy. Again, it's another one of those that when you look at the sum of the parts, it's less about Cena than it is everything else.
Right.
But he was the leader of the team. He was the sole survivor. He was the last man standing.
Yep. It was a great journey to get there. Fun journey to get there. It was definitely a fun aftermath if you were part of that. And if you were, God bless you for getting me through that night. The during was what it was.
Yeah. And now we're going to go back in time for my number 8. We're going to go a little bit further back in his career to a time when he was the doctor of thugonomics.
Here we go.
Number 8.
Nice.
5, the best of 5 series against Booker T.
No mercy.
You know, this was my Cena, dude. Like for
there
real.
You go. Yep.
For years and years and years, and I will still put Basic Thugonomics on any wrestling themes playlist that I ever make.
Yep.
Until the day I die.
Absolutely.
You
also
know,
good contentions there, David. But yeah, this one's really good. There you go.
It was just so well done. And Booker, to his credit, having already been a 5-time WCW champion, helped elevate Cena to the next level.
Yep.
To that upper echelon, because this was before he got his hands on the strap, I believe.
Yeah. No, because he'd become champion at WrestleMania against the Big Show. The thing with Booker was after he'd put his hands on Kurt Angle as general manager.
Okay.
But you are right in that
timeline a little bit jostled there. It's been
good.
20 years, but
you people forget that people had written Booker off when he got traded to SmackDown because the big story out of the 04 draft was Triple H was going to SmackDown for the first time. Evolution was being split up. And in a last-minute end-of-night trade after Raw went off the air, Triple H was traded back to Raw for not just Booker, but also the Dudleys. Dudleys and Booker were almost, they're just freaking fodder. Dudleys had that program with The Undertaker, which, good or bad, put them in the main event again. And then Booker, off to the moon with the U.S. Championship feud with Cena and then with Benoit.
Yeah. So.
CC approves. There you
go. Getting back to the list here, we joked about match 9 and how he was the last man standing. Number 7, last man standing against Umaga.
Yep, that's the one, David.
Umaga is one of those who is still incredibly underrated.
Oh, I know.
You look at the bloodline and what's going on with them now, and if he were still with us,
oh yeah,
what could Umaga add to the bloodline?
Right?
Seriously.
Yeah, it's another one of those. He was taken too soon. Yeah,
missed opportunities, because let's be real. Once again, Cena was in his Super Cena mode, and I feel like I'm crapping on him with some of these matches that I'm picking, because it's another one of those feuds that he should have lost. Umaga should have beaten him for the belt. At least for, again, even in transition, a month, 2, got it at Rumble, lost it back at Mania.
Yep.
Something.
Well,
Umaga had way too much momentum to have never become champion. Even the great Khali became champion. Telling me Umaga couldn't have?
But look at it this way. It took, like David mentioned, it took him disassembling the ring and choking the man out with the ring rope and the turnbuckle to bring him down. Right? Number 1. Number 2, had Umaga emerged and gone to Mania as champion, I dare say, as much as people lament one of the matches and one of the participants in one of the matches, we wouldn't have gotten the Battle of the Billionaires, nor would we have had the gem that started the Cena-Michaels program they had there in the first quarter of 07. So hindsight, again, is a burden, but it's also a blessing.
Fair.
And yes, Jacob Fatu, again, Umaga's spirit lives on. And, there you go. Flair's final match, yeah. Jacob Fatu and Josh Alexander for the Impact World Championship at the night of Flair's last match. Wouldn't it be something if part of the bloodline ended up being the Impact World Champion before Flair's final curtain call?
Would be kind of cool. Indeed.
I'll be calling it, so we'll see.
There we go. Number 6 is, we all knew it was going to come eventually. It's the graphic I threw up. baby Cena in his debut against Angle.
And that damn haircut is.
I'll take that prototype haircut any day of the week over TJ Wilson's whatever he had.
Oh, we got pictures from that same summer, and that we were in Vegas at the SummerSlam that year of Tyson and his three spikes of hair.
Don't get me wrong, it definitely helped set Tyson apart, but I'll take this haircut any day over that. But
Accepted.
I digress.
Accepted.
But I digress. This match right here is what I always came back to.
Yep.
When he evolved into Super Cena. He went toe-to-toe with an Olympic gold medalist and almost beat him.
He did.
Angle's Open Challenge.
He definitely did.
And then he morphed into the 5-move of Doom guy.
But it took a while for him to get there, to be fair.
It did. It did. But like
quite a long time.
That John Cena showed so much promise.
Yes, agreed.
And a promise that wrestling-wise, he rarely came back to. There were those there were those standout matches where he rose back to that level.
Yes.
But overall, they were few and far between once he became the franchise.
Agreed. Can't argue with it, unfortunately. And no, this isn't John Cena's worst matches. It's just some of his best matches are the stuff that Jay doesn't like because of the Super Cena factor to them.
What's that?
I said there was a comment in the. Hang on, I'm trying to freaking do something. There it is. There was a comment in the chat room saying, "Is this John Cena's worst matches?" No, it's just a lot of John Cena's best matches in ring wise and whatnot. Just happened to be during the Super Cena era, which JJ was not a fan of, as we documented when we started the show.
Okay. I didn't know you were responding to a question.
I am. It's okay. So Ken's here. Hello, Ken. And question, David. I will start your question. We'll get to it in between the two lists. So There is that.
At the halfway point is a match that I know that is near and dear to your heart, because it happened inside the confines of a situation where, if we're being real, Cena had no business entering it. One night stand.
Yep.
There is no reason John Cena should have been in an ECW arena, but the match with RVD freaking delivered.
Yep.
It
did.
was so good. I still go back on occasion and watch this. You know, it's just one of those matches. It's like the stars aligned properly. Finally, for Rob.
Yep.
Everything aligned properly. You know, a couple weeks later, the stars definitely fell out of alignment. Right, Rob? But
well, not only stars so much as police flashlights, but that's a whole other show.
It's seeing a whole different type of stars.
Accurate.
But that match was so good, and that was one of those occasions where Cena really rose to that occasion, going back to the Angle match. You know, you could see how hostile the crowd was when they kept throwing the shirt back.
Yep.
The sign in the balcony near where a very young Kevin Steen, now Owens, was sitting, and very visible if you go back and rewatch that.
Oh, yeah.
Cena wins, we riot.
Yeah. Yep.
There was no other booking decision than to get the belt off of him.
Yeah.
If he had defeated RVD in the Hammerstein Ballroom at One Night Stand 2, number one, there would have been no chance for ECW getting back off the ground.
No way.
That's first and foremost, which maybe would have been a good thing considering how that turned out.
Yeah.
But again, I digress. There would have been no chance in them getting off the ground. And second of all, he probably would have died trying to get out of that arena that evening.
Yeah. There's no way he would have made it out of the ballroom. There was no way. No way he would have made it out alive. And that's how intense and passionate the OG ECW fans were.
Yeah.
Still are, really. It's just they wanted their ECW, and for those one night stands, which irony considering what happened later with one night for once in a lifetime later, for those 2 nights, it was ECW.
Yeah.
And everything after that was just trying to fan/lip service.
Mm-hmm.
And they bombed miserably. But this match itself, like you said, it delivered. It was a great back and forth match itself. John got to shine and embracing the hate, if you will, which he rarely did back then.
Yeah.
Even back then, he
always
did
had
it.
the shirt rise above hate. This time
Yeah.
he embraced it. He was like, whatever.
He did.
Y'all are gonna shit on me? Cool.
Yep. Yeah, it was during that period where I was still very much anti-John, and of course, very much pro-Rob. Was supposed to be in the balcony with Mrs. Van Dam that night, or stupid work schedule. So yeah, that was definitely a conflict for me that night, looking back now, without a doubt. But great match and great atmosphere as an ECW fan.
Without question.
100%.
You know, I think it's funny about the comment you made earlier about how I wasn't a big fan of the Super Cena era, yet only 3 of my matches that I've picked are outside of that era. You know, the Cena Angle, the Booker T match, and my number 4 match, another one from his Doctor of Thugonomics era, Parking Lot Brawl against Eddie Guerrero.
Which was so good. So
Everything
good.
else is from that Super Cena C-Nation era. But this match, again, much like I said about the Booker T one, Eddie helped elevate John and his horrendous fisherman hat there in the picture.
I'm so glad you said it, not me.
Looking like he jacked Gilligan. You know, for that one special person in the chat room watching along, you've got to look at this image and laugh. You know, he's got that steel link chain around his neck with the padlock.
Oh.
And then one of Gilligan's cast-off hats on his head. It's just like one of the most ridiculous things you have ever seen in your life.
We will not lay off. That is such a dad hat, and it's so not John. Give me a break.
I love how she's telling us to lay off the hat, but then she's got the cracking up in tears emoji.
Because she knows me right. She knows me right. Anyway, oh my God.
But yeah, that parking lot brawl, like, man.
Oh, Lord.
That was one of the first moments I really think that I saw a Cena match and I was like, this guy is really going to be something. You know, you look at what him and Eddie went through in that match, and you figure that not far off from that, within about 6 months,
right,
he was U.S. champion.
Yep. And it's funny you mentioned Eddie elevating somebody. A year and a half before, we didn't think that'd be a thing.
No.
He was so not the guy to elevate. Eddie's life was such a mess. He wasn't even an employee of the company prior to, Backlash era, 02.
Mm-hmm.
And then, here he is.
But unlike some people looking at you, Jeff Hardy, he knew when it was time to get his life turned around.
Exactly.
And when he needed to make that decision for not only himself, but for Vicky, for Shaw, for his babies. He knew when it was time and he needed to make that change.
Yep, exactly.
Unfortunately, Jeff Hardy still hasn't learned that it's time to make that change.
Yes.
And unfortunately, if he keeps down that path, we're going to see a lot of those type of comments, but with Jeff Hardy's name attached to it.
Yes. And just for purposes of the person commenting, we'll go ahead and throw it back up. I mean, throw the graphics back up. Straight up looks like a jacked up Gilligan.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to catch so much shit after this show. We in trouble.
I mean,
oh man.
You couldn't look to B Squared to call him Little Buddy though, because B Squared was definitely the sidekick in that one. But Jesus.
No, the irony of you calling him Gilligan is me doing portraying the part of a skipper in a freaking skit at Walt Disney World during the classic TV thing. Yeah. I am the skipper. Don't mind me. Anyway.
My top three. You honestly could argue any one of them being number one.
Yes, definitely.
At least in my opinion.
Well, we'll see.
You know, Report Card Radio seems to think I'm throwing out Cena's worst matches,
Well,
but, you know, subjective, as we always say, right, Jeff?
subjective.
These are the matches
single-
of Cena's that I love watching.
There you go.
I said at the outset, these may not all be Uncle Dave 5-star classics,
No.
but these are the matches I enjoy watching of Cena versus some of his greatest opponents.
Right.
And it's funny because now that I think about it, the person that won his greatest rival poll, I don't even have a match with them on my list. That says all kinds of things right there.
Right.
And knowing who won that poll and how much I think of them kind of probably surprises a lot of people. But again, I digress, getting back to my list. Number 3 is the match that number 10 built towards.
Ah, yes.
You know, say what you want about the result and how Rocky went over in this one. I know there's still a lot of people out there that think Cena should have won because Rocky was part-time.
Mm-hmm.
But Cena did an amazing job in the ring dancing with The Rock. And when you figure where everything went from there to Rocky Punk, to Cena's redemption, to Cena's downward spiral as a result of losing to The Rock, you know, and then, like I touched on, again, a year later, his ultimate redemption, not just defeating The Rock, but being able to take the title back from The Rock. After Rocky dethroning the man who should have been unstoppable, like Roman, for at least another good 6 months. But we'll get to there in a minute. Rock and Cena was a match for the ages. You know, as much as we thought we would never see Hogan Rocky.
Yep, exactly.
And then we did.
Yep.
Twice.
Yeah.
We then never thought we would see Cena Rocky. And we did. Twice.
And then we see Cena Roman. And we ended up doing that twice now.
Yeah.
So far.
That one could end up turning into a trilogy, but we'll see where things go.
See how things lay out.
But I mean, Rocky could still go, and time will tell in the next 6 to 8 months if he gonna go again or not.
Again, you pointed out Saturday night, you know, his schedule is clear.
Wide open.
Yep.
To infinity and beyond.
You're going to say that something like that every day until I go see this damn movie, aren't you?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I'm going to try. I promise I'm going to try. That's all I can do.
Number 2 on my list.
Yes, sir.
The match that never was supposed to be.
There you go. I dig it.
And I say that because, as everybody who knows the industry should know, it was supposed to be Cena Hunter 2.
Right?
But Hunter got injured, and they called an audible and threw HBK in there. And it's just another one of those matches where he had to step up to that level that he displayed all the way back here.
Yep.
Because the icon, the showstopper, the heartbreak kid, Mr. WrestleMania wasn't going to accept anything less.
Nor should he.
There's a reason he gets those monikers.
Yeah.
And he's another one we kind of joke about. If you go back and you look at Mr. WrestleMania's record, he's got more L's than he has W's.
Right?
For a man called Mr. WrestleMania.
Yes.
But Cena really shined in that one.
Yep.
He stepped the F up.
He did. He really did. And I can't. Again, the fact that this led to so much good later with that match on Raw, just, you know.
Yeah. And honestly, I contemplated that match, but I just couldn't, if I'm being 100%, couldn't find the graphic for it. So I took this one. Took the lazy way out.
Spoiler alert, I got you, boo. I got you.
Took the lazy way out, but still, that match wouldn't have happened if this match wasn't so good.
No, not at all.
Desire for the rematch.
Not a one. No.
So that brings me to number 1.
I'm a little leery about this, Jay, and you know what I'm thinking. You know what I think you're thinking.
It's another one. You could say that it's my number 1 because an event that I was at had direct ramifications on this match.
Ah, yes. Oh, man. See, oh, here we go. Yeah, we're in trouble when we get off the air. It's okay.
Cena and Punk.
Yep.
In Chicago, Money in the Bank.
It was definitely a great match. I can't even, I mean, even Meltzer said it was a great match. So, you know.
You know, I'd say who are we to argue, but we dispute him all the time. So
right.
But I mean, the fact that we agree with something he says, yeah, we know no comment.
Yeah, that's it. But again, you know, Michael saying number 1. It's the match itself.
Yeah,
is it is every bit the 5 that Dave gave it. No doubt about it.
If you're involved in behind the scenes stuff that was going on in and around that time, there's reasons why that one may,
of course,
not necessarily be a favorite of yours.
Right.
But for those of us that aren't involved in that stuff and we're just going off of what played out on television, you know, that blurred lines of reality comment right there was everything right there, because when CM Punk took the stage in Vegas and dropped that now famous pipe bomb, we didn't know what was real and what was fake.
No.
The fact that his mic got cut off just added to the blurring lines and reality of the situation, what was real, what was fake.
Right.
The fact that No DQ had their servers crash and Aaron Rift calls Jeff during the transition between that Raw and the following week's Raw, because the next week was 4th of July, so they were pre-taping it. What the F is going on in Vegas? Our servers just crashed.
Right.
Tells you everything you need to know about what happened that night 11 years ago tonight.
The irony of that
led to and built to that match.
The irony of us talking about the pipe bomb on the anniversary and then the taping of the 4th of July show that night. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. Anyway.
So
I dig it, dude.
It's another one that, much like my top 10, is less to do with Cena than it had to do with Punk and lighting that spark that attempted to change the business, that some will say did change it, some will say didn't change it, some will say we're still looking at very much a lot of what Punk was talking about now, especially in lieu of the Vince scandal and surrounding himself with yes men like Johnny Ace.
Well, we all saw Welcher Night for John, didn't we? Yeah.
It's all still very prevalent here.
Absolutely.
And today. And, you know, I'm watching some of the comments you're popping up. Theory, going off track a little bit here, Theory is the guy to watch right now. He is the next Miz.
Yep.
He is the guy that's got that cocky arrogance. When Mike decides that he's ready to just retreat to Hollywood with Maurice and his little Mizettes that he's birthed, Theory's going to be the one to take his place. I think that's why they're working together so much.
Right, exactly.
But I digress. Jeff, I turn the floor over to you.
Yes. Yeah. We did actually talk about Theory. Her and I, we were actually talking off here just before we went on. And it's, do not be surprised if shit goes down with tonight's special guest star and the United States Heavyweight Champion. Now, as far as before I get to my list, I do want to acknowledge some of the comments, because some of the comments don't tie to the matches that are going to come up here during my list, nor do they come up during your list, but I did want to make sure I threw the comments up there. So, I know everyone hates this match, but Cena versus Rock for me at 29 is my favorite Cena match because it was my first WrestleMania I saw, and it just felt awesome to me. Not a bad choice also. As impactful as 28 was, people kind of overlooked 29 because it was the whole once in a lifetime until we can make more money off it, so people just preemptively shit on it. And that's wrong, by the way, because it's a really good match in and of itself. And The Rock gave of himself because he freaking tore something out of, like, tore a muscle in his chest, giving that rock bottom that sent Cena down to freaking Florida or some shit when he hit the mat. Just drilled him. So that was good. Let's see. That one's going to come up. I think the two best Thugonomics matches were his first pay-per-view losses to The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. Again, Backlash 03 and Vengeance 03. Not bad choices either. Again, JJ did mention Clash of the Tag Champions WrestleMania 23. Was one of the best prior to 2016 era. Again, it's on Jay's list, so there you go. Let me go ahead and get rid of that, actually. Question for the room. Which Angle Cena match did we like better? The number one contender tournament final match leading to May 21, or the submission match when they were both on Raw? They were both really good.
I'm going to go with the submission match because it brought Cena out of his element more.
Right. Exactly. Yep. I know neither one of us were, but was anybody in the room watching OVW Tape Traders during the golden era of OVW with Cena, Orton, Lesnar, and Batista there? Good matches there. There were great matches in OVW back then. Absolutely.
I remember having a DVD of OVW. I didn't do tape trading, but they had released a DVD once the main four had been brought up that had some of their stuff back in OVW, and you could see some of that stuff. Yeah. I did have that for a little bit, and it was good. And again, I cannot praise enough if you can actually get your hands on it via Amazon, eBay, whatever. See if you can find some of those old Ultimate Pro Wrestling DVDs.
Yes.
And watch Prototype Cena when he was still out here before he got sent to OVW.
Yeah, when he was still a legit Prototype.
I want to say it was UPW versus the World Volume 2, him versus C.W. Anderson.
Yeah, so good. So good. Final comment that I starred before we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing here, because I know you have access to the room, so you have starred comments. There are a couple matches I'm going to bring up that I would like to have them highlighted when we get there. But if it wasn't for the finish of Jon Stewart, Cena, Rollins for the WWE US title, I would have made your list. I can definitely understand that. And no, you're not going to see Cena Lesnar on my list from SummerSlam. That goes without saying. Traumatic. But I can see why it'd be a favorite, because it definitely did usher in a different era for the company. It did put John down to the mid-card area for a while, and was U.S. champion during that time. So, but again, that totally destroyed Rusev's momentum. So that's kind of the give and take there, unfortunately. I think that's it on the stuff I wanted to bring up. And there you go. There you go. He will be. The kid's got it. Whatever y'all classify as it, Theory's got it.
If it wasn't for the Cody debacle,
right,
and the obvious nature, didn't mean to do that. Okay. Obvious nature to more than likely put the briefcase onto Rollins at this point, I would have given Money in the Bank to Theory.
Yeah, I agree.
You've got a year. You've got a year to build him as a viable contender who can just cash in at any point.
Yeah, and even if that commercial was accurate in verbiage and you have to WrestleMania, he still got 9 months.
Yeah.
So either way, you're good to go. All right. So there is a start comment right away off the top of my list. So we'll go ahead and throw that up there at number 10, because it was brought up and I do want to talk about it. Not the match at WrestleMania, because God did those two main events matches blow for me, but the rematch with John Cena and JBL. Again, if you're looking for an all-out brawl, and God, Cena just bled like he was a freaking biblical newborn, man. Oh my God. I have not seen that much blood out of a WWE champion other than Eddie Guerrero at the same event the year prior against JBL. Dude, John, what's with you freaking bludgeoning WWE champions? Good grief, Bradshaw, calm your tits. Crazy, man. Anyway, this was so a good moment for John Cena, and also for Bradshaw too, because people really shit on Bradshaw's reign as the WWE champion, and this was his going, you know what, you may not have thought I deserved to be there, but damn it, I'm going to show I can go at least one more time as the main event. And these two just beat the shit out of each other. I like the comment, Ken. Interesting. Rollins will not come up, by the way, later. I will mention, because they had a great match at SummerSlam. Again, that stupid, finish was what it was. But the match itself was good. The match of Night Champions is also very good, or Clash Champions, whatever the hell they were calling it that year. Again, people do try. I think JBL's run was better than Ginger's personally, and that's a big one for me, because I did not like JBL's reign as champion, but Ginger's reign was just the drizzling shits. And I'm sorry, he should have never been there in the first place. Said it, I mean it. All right, number 9 is gonna surprise probably more than a few of you, but to those of you that know, you understand. This shit was so fun. So fun to watch. I wish I'd had a little bit more foresight when I started full-time doing this, the YouTube streaming again, because I would have loved to have a call on that back then. It was so much fun to see John Cena enter the crazy world of The Fiend and have to go through his entire history, and honestly the history of the industry, because you had him and Bray doing the NWO stuff, which was golden. Especially when you think about the fact that they talked about if the NWO ever came back and Cena led, what would it look like? It's like, oh, here it is. It's so funny. Cena coming out in that god-awful replica of his original tights. I have the action figure of that, by the way. It will be signed at some point because it's just too good not to have. It was so funny. One of the best. Thank you. Exactly. Just one of those moments that you don't expect much of it, because we've seen Cena and Wyatt before. But nay. We had not seen Cena and the mind of the Fiend before. Whole different ball game. So good. So fun to watch. I enjoyed it. And again, him being at Money in the Bank would not surprise me. And the fact that he's coming back tonight and Money in the Bank's on Saturday, and if rumors persist that he's going to be facing Theory at SummerSlam, you've got to give us a solid reason. Because Cena don't need it. And Theory doesn't really need it at this point. So there's got to be a good reason for me to want to buy into the feud. So good call on that one. I like that. All right. You mentioned Mania 23 being the match that should have been the rematch from Mania 22 with Triple H. Triple H is on my list. I love this match for all the wrong reasons. If you're a John Cena fan, because Chicago ate him for breakfast, Chicago style, pizza style, and he overcame it anyway. They didn't arrive at the Hall of Fame, and he still persevered and did that amazing introduction for William Perry that got everybody won back over when he was all done talking. That is what John Cena does. He goes into a hostile room where they're booing him out of the building, gets into character, and does the goofy shit. The entire venue was cheering him at the end of that promo. So, but the match could have been a lot worse. I'm not going to lie. The entrances were very sports entertainment, but it's WrestleMania. So what do you want?
Well,
I remember
the
that.
entrances featured CM Punk as a gangster coming to
Yes.
the ring with Cena.
Which was part of the build to Money in the Bank later on. So yeah, it all ties back. And if you think about it, both the Second City Saints were involved in WrestleMania that year because Colt was one of the Druids for the Undertaker in that casket match that is Bruno status. We don't talk about that match. No. With all due respect to Mark Henry, of course. Just bad match. But this match, again, you had a main event that the only problem, the match itself, like I said, it was well built, well told, well laid out, well executed. It's the opposite of me with you and the Nexus match. Fun build, great anticipation. Aftermath was crazy. Execution was poor on the Nexus match. Accurate. With the booze, I think that had it been a bigger venue, RVDs would have been number one. Because it was just so. There you go. Exactly. I agree, Michael. Yeah. I think if the Hammerstein Bomb would have been. Oh, wow. Sure. Yes, Chris. You are more than welcome to come back for predictions like you did last week. Absolutely. I think if the Hammerstein had been a 20,000 seat arena, it would have been a lot closer race. Because they wanted John dead in New York. No doubt about it. Not even a glimmer of doubt in my mind when I say that shit. But when you think about it, Cena Triple H, Cena Punk, both Chicago. Or at least Chicago suburb. Of course, Rosemont being where the arena is in Chicago. So, yeah. Yep. Warhawk Rambo is right up there with what Jay's been saying for 12 years now. 100%. But, yeah, Cena Triple H, I think, came off badly because, honestly, the build was, I'm just facing John. Who cares? Right? Yeah, no shit, at least. Although, historically, it's one of the best towns in WWE history. So, does it really not measure? Or is it just we must boo Cena? So. Triple H goes into that match going, it's John Cena, whatever. If you beat him, then you beat somebody you say you should be able to beat handily. So why does it matter? If you don't beat him, you lost to the jobber. You buried the match without even trying, Hunter. So that was the only problem I had with the build. The match was phenomenal, no doubt about it. All right. Starred comment approaching. Number 7 was in Toronto. It was for the championship. And the champion going in was in his hometown. Oh my. And again, at the time, it was a great feud ender because it was the final chapter in their 2006 Odyssey that began all the way back, if you think about it, at New Year's Revolution. When Edge finally did the deed. I know Lee's in the picture. I didn't mean that deed, you perverts. And cashed in Money in the Bank and became the WWE champion for the first time. Of course, he lost it at the Rumble, back to Cena, and then they just kind of went back and forth all throughout the first half of the year, all the way into Unforgiven in Toronto. And there's a picture somewhere. I don't have it handy. I should have brought it up. I didn't think about it. I was hyped for the match, too. I was still very much in anti-John Cena mode at this point, to the point of when great TLC match. And I was there live for TLC 3. So TLC 2 was also great. 3 was great. Yeah, Shawn in Montreal. Exactly. So it was so infuriating that there's a picture of me getting ready to swing a chair through Aaron's TV in the living room at the old house because I was so mad at Edge having lost the championship. So, but yeah, I would agree that at least up to that point, Edge was seen as greatest rival. We are not doing top 10 Money in the Bank matches. We did that, I think, previously, back in the old era, if I remember right, Jay. So forgive me if I'm wrong there. If Edge won this match, then if I remember right, there was a stipulation that if Cena lost, he would once again become property of Teddy Long SmackDown. And they showed Teddy up in the skybox in anticipation. And again, it's hard not to be biased, being a Toronto native herself. But yeah, this match was so well done. And looking back with the benefit of hindsight, it was a great way to end the feud. Now, again, of course, they touched again many more times over the years, but the 06 feud was so intense and visceral. You had Edge slapping John Cena Sr. in their home. You had John throwing Edge into the Long Island Sound and Edge getting sick as a dog because of it. And again, if the circumstances are right, Michael, I agree. Just a one-off. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Number 6 for me. God, I think I have more than I thought I did. Now, I did say it during the interlude there that you will never see a Brock Lesnar John Cena one-on-one match on my list because of the traumatic memories in my brain. However, throw Mr. Money in the Bank in the mix, and you got my list. This match is a surprise to me. It's even on my list. It's a triple threat match. I hate triple threat matches.
I know.
But this one's golden. This one had a guy who didn't really need a shot in the first place. He's already got a guaranteed shot. You got a guy who has had 2 matches in the previous second half of the year. One getting, his rear end handed to him upon entering Suplex City, and then the next month he lost in the rematch to Brock Lesnar. So do either of these guys really need to be in the match? No, but again, it goes back to what we're dealing with now with Roman Reigns. Who do you throw at this guy that everybody, can destroy everybody? But two at the same time. We'll see what we can do. And he's still beast mode and persevered. But John had a great showing, as did Rollins, and as did the champion. Can't even argue with it. I will co-sign on that, except for the match we're not supposed to remember, Benoit, Hunter, Shawn Michaels. That's the best triple threat match I've ever seen.
And I'll even go and throw Benoit, Angle, Jericho from WrestleMania 2000.
Which I was there live for, and that's one of the shining silver linings in a dark cloud of a card. God, what a horrible Mania. But yeah, again, I hate triple threat matches, but there are some very glaring exceptions, and this is one of them, no doubt about it. All right, next up, you mentioned earlier that you picked WrestleMania 23 match because you couldn't find a decent graphic of the Raw rematch. I still say that match is better, so there you go. There it is. It's grainy. It is what it is, but I did find a decent graphic of it. So
more power to you, good sir, because I couldn't find one anywhere.
And the thing with this graphic is it's still less grainy than some of the other ones, but Sean looks like he just freaking took a hit and smile.
Right?
And we know
he walked into a room. He walked into a room where Riddle and RVD were inhabiting.
I was going to say, he must have hanging with these originals prior to taking that photo shoot. Damn it. I spared you assholes once. Anyway. Best match in Raw history is a very bold take, but also very hard to argue. It was one of the best ones. Yes, Ken, I agreed. But yeah, getting back to Michaels and yes, sir.
I was just going to say the only problem with that match is that although softened in recent years, somebody feels like the winner of that match shouldn't have been there in the first place.
No, number one. And number two, that Mania for me was much more about Cena and Hunter. So I often forget that match even happened, which is wrong of me considering the athletes involved. But yeah, remember, Orton was, Randy Orton 0.5 troublemaker from hell at that point. Angle was banged up, beat up, and world champion out of necessity rather than, want because Batista got hurt. And then you had Ray, who I didn't want in there. No, that was a different animation. The punch myself thing was, yeah. I want to say that was Taboo Tuesday era, maybe? That sounds right. Anyway, yeah, this match went an hour plus on a live Raw. Glenn, it wasn't live to us because it was over in England, but they went over 4 or 5 commercial breaks and kept going. Such a great match. So good. All right, this next one is one I feel that I think the moment with Shawn and Shelton is more memorable than the match itself. Yes. Speaking of, good call, Elise. Very good. Now, granted, I could put up the graphic that we've seen online proliferated where it was, they've had 20 matches and they're all there at the same time. I think this one's the most enduring for me. And well, what about the Undisputed Championship match? What about it? It's like seriously, throw a dart at the Cena Orton match dartboard. You're gonna hit a freaking gem. You really are. They always, when they touch, they always had tremendous matches. But this one was a freaking war of attrition.
Mm-hmm.
Orton confined John to the corner post outside the ring and beat him like his mama shoulda type stuff. People get mad at Charlotte for, beating up on Ronda. Jesus Christ, even Charlotte Flair as a kid was going, damn, like easy. Randy beat him to shit. No, this was actually 2 years after the pec tear encased feud. This is 2009. This is when they had the match at Hell in a Cell, the match before that, and this is the match after Hell in a Cell. So, yeah, they went from bragging rights to this, to Hell in a Cell, to a I Quit match where Randy Orton hit John Cena sometime that Singapore King. Even Tommy Dreamer was going, thank you, sir. Don't give him another. So barbaric. To the point of when John had the match, I want to say it was just Miz. Later, that was I believe, an I Quit match. And it was just hard for me to watch as a fan of John's because of how bad Miz was just caning John to oblivion. Their bragging rights Iron Man match was great. I can't, honestly, I can't even think of a bad match between the two of them on top of my head. I really can't. And if you go back, there's a match where they teamed up against, I think I started the comment with the entire Raw roster. Even that was fun. And they were on the same side. It's so ridiculous.
Valid point.
It was.
Valid point.
Very valid.
I definitely co-sign with you on this match, but very valid point.
Yeah. There were so many matches.
Like you were saying, they had such great magic in the ring. And we forgot to talk about it in transition. Orton won the poll as
I'm not
Cena's
surprised.
greatest rival.
He was my pick.
And their chemistry is everything. You look, every now and again, you get those two wrestlers that every time they get in the ring, they just click and they have that chemistry. You think of like Rock and Austin. You think of Rock and Hunter. You think of Steen and Flair, with exception of that final Nitro. Did you jump over to comments? You're not supposed to be doing comments.
I was it's relevant to what you're talking about. I'm trying to help the show flow. Jesus. Don't get mad at me for trying to help keep the show flow. Grr. Get mad at me for stuff, damn it. Anyway. I'll go back up to where it was.
You can easily put Cena Orton in that category.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those, we joke about the break glass case of emergency stuff. It was, agreed. But in 2009, think about it. Especially on Raw. Again, we're live, can't pre-tape again. It goes back to an old argument. if you don't build enough people, you have to, rely on the fail-safes. Yes. Anytime those two pairs touched, intensity, just visceral, raw emotion, and guaranteed classics more often than not, even with injuries. You figure Brett and Austin both had knees during their feud that should not have been in the ring, let alone anything but in bed resting. And they had an unbelievable match at WrestleMania and even decent follow-up at Revenge of the Taker. So, just so one. And again, it's one of those deals. When he came back in, I want to say it was 2019 for Old School, whatever, Raw Reunion, whatever the hell that show was called that year, they didn't do the Cena Sucks chant at him. They were cheering for him when he came back. He definitely didn't get Cena Sucks when he came out to face Roman at Money in the Bank when he returned. That place nearly fell apart with the pop. He also didn't get it at SummerSlam, which surprised me. Because I thought sure they were going to freaking, boo him down the aisle at SummerSlam, and they didn't. So, not a fan of that one. I did like the four-way with them, and I think it was Orton was the fourth in that one. That was good. Anyway, all right, where was I? Okay, this is one of the other ones we share. I think so far we have one we share, right? Am I right on that? Yeah. Matter of fact, I think this is the only one we share, which surprised me considering our affinity for mutual John Cena matches. But your number 1 is my number 3. And again, I'm prepared for the heat when we get off the air. It is what it is. I am prepared. Again, the buildup was so well done. The insider stuff was what it was, and is what it is to this day. But the match is a gem and a half. Both guys worked their ass off all through telling the story of the match, telling the story of the aftermath, and definitely telling the story leading up to.
Yeah.
Everything about this match, kayfabe or not, that we as fans were privy to, let me be clear, golden. Every bit of it.
When you think of it in the being is how my main shtick on YouTube is movie reviews.
Right.
When you think of it in the confines of like a movie.
Yep.
Act 1, the pipe bomb all the way up until Money in the Bank.
Yep.
Solid storytelling.
Yes.
Act 2, the confrontation at Money in the Bank. Stellar. Even Uncle Dave gave it 5 stars.
Yes, sir.
Act 3, Punk running out of the arena over the barricade with the title, throwing the belt in his refrigerator, posting the picture on Twitter, going to the Comic-Con, confronting Triple H at the panel, coming back after the tournament had been done, the one-night tournament, to crown a new champion, being face-to-face all the way up till SummerSlam, and Alberto cashing in, killing the entire momentum. Still good all the way up until the cash-in part.
Yep.
You look at it as a movie, you can't find fault with any part of the storytelling, and it's rare that you can say that.
Yeah, I would pay when we prices to go see that 3-act structure. Absolutely. That was the best part of the match. Absolutely. Yes.
On levels.
Levels that if I said it, I'd be in trouble. Anyway. That guy. Anyway. Especially now. Double F him. Anyway, guy, I gotta move on quickly. I'm gonna be in real trouble. All right.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Make that left at the fork of the road.
Yeah, definitely. Number 2 is here for several reasons. Number 1, at this stage of his game, I didn't know if this awesome of a match was still in John. At this stage of his opponent's career, even though he was the champion going in, there was still uncertainty because they had already touched a couple times the previous year. Like, how do you outdo something that was already pretty damn good? Well, as we've learned from people like Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit that have faced off before and then gone to the Royal Rumble for a championship match, you make it for the title, it just gets better. Did we ever, JJ, you and I, going to PWG? I see. Oh, here, there you go. There, go ahead. There you go. Okay. So I want to make sure I showed you doing that, because I know we all know we both love AJ. Did we ever think going to the PWG shows all those years? Definitely agree with that after Angle Benoit, because Angle Benoit was so good, and this was just that much better. I didn't see the comment. I'm sorry. Do we ever think that we'd see AJ Styles defending the WWE Championship in the main event of a Big Four against John Cena? I certainly never saw it coming.
This was the match that fans wanted as their quote-unquote Forbidden Door main event during 2004-2005.
Yep.
The franchise player of NWA TNA.
Yes, sir.
Versus the franchise player of the WWE.
Yep. You figure by 05, 06, and even into 07, when the TNA thing was falling apart with NWA completely, both guys were Mr. their company.
Mm-hmm.
I like your SummerSlam match. I do. I just think that John himself looked better in this one, which is why it's on my list, not the other ones.
Fair.
They're both great, all of them.
Yeah, it is a John list, so the fact that you picked the one that made John look better.
Yeah.
Whereas most of mine, it wasn't as much about John, but you know.
But that's okay. I have heard that myself, Lee, so there you go. Anyway. All right, so number one, if it's not Punk and it's not AJ, who could it be? Well, SummerSlam was brought up earlier in the show a couple times by comments and by the lists themselves. As much as John looked good in the majority of these matches, it was John putting over another perennial favorite that tops my list.
Okay.
This match, not getting 5 stars from Uncle Dave, infuriates me to this day. This match was so good. And I think part of it is that John went in there with his elbow completely up. They had to drain his elbow. Like, he had a baseball-sized knot the next day on Raw because he had to wear that pad. It was so swollen and beat up. So maybe the injury Big Dave felt hindered John a little bit. I didn't see it. I didn't see a damn bit of that hindrance going on there. And it was, again, but Brian cashed in and ruined it. No. Orton cashed in and made it. Because that carried Brian, Hunter, Orton, and the Authority all the way to WrestleMania. And Cena, even though he became the World Heavyweight Champion later that year and then unified with Orton even later, Cena was actually, for the first time, even though being a world champion, he was not the guy in the company. And it was okay. Because he had the match with Alberto. He had a little run with the little brief thing with Sandow as Mr. Money in the Bank. And then he lost the championship unification match and went into the program with Bray. So it was all woven very well. The aftermath was great and shocking. The match itself is for my money, a 5-star classic. And the build was so good. Yes, I was going to get to Kevin Owens, but we'll go ahead and, as I'll mention, but I'll go ahead and, since it's been brought up, yes. one of the few successful call-ups, period. First of all, let's be clear. Let's just be clear on that right then and there. Kevin Owens is definitely an honorable mention for me. And again, people know I was not Kevin's biggest fan for a number of years, but much like Mysterio in a different way, because I actually always did like Mysterio the person. I've softened on Kevin quite a bit because of his ability to carry off WWE matches so well, and just his stuff. Some of the best parts of Raw these days. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brian, again, John Cena was told, name your opponent, pick your poison. I choose Daniel Bryan. Sitting next to this guy on the couch at home, I think you could have heard our yes chants in Aberdeen, Washington at that point. Because we were like, oh my God, Brian's going to be in the main event with John at SummerSlam. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was going, at least to the Hooters after party. I wasn't going to go to the show. And again, you know, I've talked about that you were not at that show, even though I could swear you were. But so great overall. The lead-in, the match was great, and the aftermath just made Bryan Danielson's Daniel Bryan's WWE run everything. Yeah. Brief though ended up turning out to be, for that year, our boy was on top, man. And it's because of John putting him over.
Big time. Hell of a list, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hell of a list. I do have a couple of comments that I starred.
Very good.
Because I didn't want to, they were lengthy, so I didn't want to pop them up during your chatter here.
Much appreciated. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Cena's best feud, 0 wins. Yeah. I mean, hard to argue with that. JBL, as far as upper class, you know, Rap versus Rock with it. I would say Rap versus Rock with Jericho more than Edge. Which, again, their feud's understated as well. Neither one of us had Jericho as a choice, which I not surprised at, because their matches were never the greatest on the card, but their dialogue was solid every single time. Attitude Era, yeah, Triple H versus Ruthless Aggression, consistent and corporate. Yeah, I mean, whether you classify them or not as indie guys by that point, his matches with CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, and AJ Styles were always top tier. Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Very cool. Very cool. Match I wouldn't be considered. Yeah. You're not going to find a Big Dave versus John Cena match in either one of our lists, quite frankly.
I turned my back at the Mania one.
Yeah. It's just one of those. Again, I thoroughly enjoy Dave Bautista, the actor. Batista in the ring after he left Evolution. There you go. Appreciate it, CC. What was the one before that? The one about Eddie? Oh,
an underrated feud.
Underrated now, looking back in hindsight. At the time, people were eating it up, man. People love their battles. Some of the best stuff on SmackDown during the SmackDown 6 era with Heyman riding.
Yeah.
Such great shit back then.
The Absolutely. Other one that I starred is one that we've had tweeted to us a couple times before, and we always forget to address.
Oh, okay. Oh, God, yeah, Chris, you know what? I've started this freaking thing on Twitter, and I keep forgetting to bring it up. I am so sorry. Okay, so...
Well, I will go first while you sit there racking.
There's quite a few of mine.
Because my daughter has only watched, I want to say 1, maybe 2 pay-per-views with me in the past.
Right.
And so the one that always comes to mind, and I couldn't say that she really enjoyed it all the way through because she's not really a wrestling fan.
Yep.
Again, has only watched 1, maybe 2 pay-per-views. But it was SummerSlam, the year that Dolph Ziggler fought Goldberg.
Oh, Lord. That poor girl.
She just thought that was some of the funniest stuff ever. The way Goldberg just kept coming back and smashing him.
Lord.
Very, very reminiscent of Undertaker Jeff Hardy in that ladder match, and how Dolph just wouldn't stay down, much like Jeff wouldn't stay down.
Right.
Dolph, I don't think, ended up earning Goldberg's respect in the way that Hardy earned Taker's that night,
No.
but very similar in their execution as far as, what was being presented to us. That's the only one I can think of that I know she's seen start to finish with me, and there was any part of it that she enjoyed. Jeff,
Yeah.
I know, has watched a lot more pay-per-views with Dylan,
Yes.
so that's why I went ahead and went first, so he could rack his brain trying to think.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the thing with Dylan now is, I was not allowed to show him for so long because of the ban from the other side of the family tree about him watching. The memory I have that's very, very recent, and not very, very, but pretty recent, and that will always endure, was WrestleMania 35 and Kofi Mania becoming a thing.
Yes,
because he was back here.
I can imagine.
He was back. Yeah, he was back here in his room because he wasn't allowed to watch, and I realized it was going to happen. And I'm like, you know what? He can't watch the wrestling. Fine. The 1, 2, 3 goes down. I bell her, Bubba, get in here. And he watched the entire New Day celebration with again, he was still a kid, so you're not going to, get emotional over that shit, but definitely a little bit of a glimmer in his eye.
With a tear in my eye.
Yeah, he was so stoked for Kofi, as we all were. Let's not lie. I'll always remember that. Pay-per-view wise with Dylan the whole way through, he actually attended SummerSlam 2012 with Jade and I. Thanks to our buddy Bruce Kraft, who provided us tickets. We were up in the upper deck, but it was still it was his first full-on live pay-per-view inside the building. So that was kind of cool.
Grab some Kleenex there, Jeff. I think your nose is still bleeding from those seats.
Right. Hey, you know what? Believe it or not, because we were in the handicap section, my hockey seats are actually higher. So there you go. And again, Batista becoming world champion in that match that did not deliver for me as a fan, and anything afterwards was just kind of like, he's not facing Hunter. I really don't care. And yeah, he was over with fans. I will never deny Batista being over with the people, the WWE Universe. That's cool. Just never resonated with either one of us as far as post-evolution. Just not my cup of tea. Batista, again, yeah, I don't exactly. I've never met Dave, so I don't know. I just like his movie roles, at least Guardians and James Bond. So,
2 occasions.
I know.
Once at Rob's, where me and Teresa paid to see him, and he still couldn't force a smile on his face.
Ooh.
Once outside of Staples.
The Staples one I remember you telling me about. Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned outside of Staples because never paid to meet the guy ever, but who do you remember was the worst person with smiling when it comes to Robitaille? Never smiled for me. I've known that man since he got drafted to the Kings, and it took freaking going to Vegas and getting us all a little Vegas happy at the freaking card tables to actually get a smile on his damn face. Pissing me off to this day. Damn you, Luke. Anyway, coming on the 4th, Lashley versus, I am glad somebody brought Lashley up. I know it's supposed to be John's greatest matches hour, but you know what? Lashley should have been the WWE champion in that feud. but both matches there, the one at Vengeance, which we don't talk about that show, and the Great American Bash were both so good. The match of Vengeance, again, was what it was because it was a 5-man cluster, whatever. But the match with the Great American Bash was underrated, like you said, David. And I still maintain, to this day, had Lashley walked out the champion, he would have never left for MMA nor for Impact Wrestling.
Accurate.
Stand by that. Yes, that's what I was trying to think of earlier. Cena, Orton, HBK, and Edge. That one was very, and again, it's a 4-way, so for me, it's usually like that 4-way, 3-way cluster, whatever. I'm good. That one was good. Again, that's the thing with us. People were talking about JJ. I'm gonna let you handle this because this is your standard answer.
He should be. If anybody is going to top Ric Flair's on record 16-time world champions,
Yep,
it's got to be Orton and not Cena. Cena has already tied him.
Yes.
Which that in and of itself is questionable. Triple H and Ric Flair handpicked Dave Bautista and Randy Orton to be the future cornerstones of Evolution. If anybody is going to defeat Flair's record, it should be Orton.
Yep.
And Ken, you got your numbers wrong because by my count, Randy is a 15-time champion. You'd only need 2 to pass it.
Well, Ken might also be going by the official record that I keep because Ken knows. Because the official count's 22.
Okay.
So he is right there.
We're going by the WWE acknowledged
16,
count.
Right. Then yeah, he's
Randy only needs 2.
Yeah. I'm pretty he's either 14.
1 to tie and 1 to pass.
I forget what number. I forget who was 15, but my brain's so scatterbrained. But my child's favorites, which were attended, were
wow.
Okay.
You were at King of the Ring 96?
He and I talked about that. Clash 97, was that the one earlier in the year, or was that the one in August, which was the last Clash? Because that's a cool memory in of itself, to be the very last Clash of the Champions. That's, again, not the greatest card of all time, but the fact that it was the last Clash and it was NWO's official birthday party that year, too, which is pretty cool. I'm sorry, not August, July. Sorry, it was July. July 97. The only person WWE is going to top this record, they're going to give it to Flair. Ooh. Okay. Well, first of all, again, wouldn't surprise me if they put Charlotte in that spot. However, if we're going by the male world championships, which is what I'm sure you know we're talking about. Yeah. If anybody's going to do it within the WWE, it has to be Randy Orton. He's still, barring this injury and the surgery going the way it needs to go this week, this month, he's the only guy that is still active and healthy enough that could pull it off for me. I don't see Roman Reigns sticking around long enough to become a that many time world champion at this point. Even though he has quite a few already, I don't see him sticking around long enough to become a 16-time champion just because Hollywood's a calling. You mentioned John's was questionable. Number 1, the number's wrong. Number 2, his match over AJ, he lost a month later in the Elimination Chamber match, which he shouldn't have lost. And then that match led to Orton and Wyatt at WrestleMania, which shouldn't have happened. So questionable is the word of the day when it comes to that transition. No doubt about it. Hunter is very true, Lise, very true. But again, it's how many people do they have on contract with that high a number of world titles already? That's the key. If you're going to hotshot that World Championship reigns, it means so much less, which is why I'm sure he was thumbing down Charlotte's. She's a 13-time, 4-time champion, and she's only been around 7 years. Flair took 19 years to become a 16-time world champion. John Cena took 15 years to become a 16-time world champion. Charlotte got more than halfway in far less time. So, again, it seems like you're trying to force it, which is the wrong way to do it. Flair's championship reigns were counted organically. Honestly, so were the guys in WWE now, John, Hunter, and Orton. It wasn't until much, much later, much like the streak, that it evolved into, this is getting interesting. So the only person on the roster, again, barring this surgery and injury thing going the way it needs to go for Randy, hopefully, there's nobody even close that is medically qualified, because Hunter's not qualified no more with his heart. You know, Flair's not going to go back to WWE after the July 31st and try to win 17, because Vince, whoever's in charge, let me be clear on that, ain't going to let that happen either. Because Flair's got walked in the door with a pacemaker. Yeah, right. Do you guys like either have seen the matches with Mark Henry, Money in the Bank, or Carlito in 04? I wish. Again, Mark Henry's one of those that, man, he was the world champion with the big gold. He was ECW champion. That was cool. I don't know if I would have 100% bought into him beating Cena for the WWE Championship. As much as I respect Mark and always will, I just couldn't make my brain do that. Carlito, as U.S. champion, I think their feud was too rushed. I thought it was killed too quickly. And think
the addition of Jesus.
I was going to say, with all due respect to the person involved, because, you know, depending on what day we talk to him, he's either the nicest dude in the world or he's a prick face. Aaron Aguilera being involved in that killed that completely. And the way they went with the story of him stabbing John to get John off the TV was so ungodly stupid.
Yeah, I know quite a few people that speak of him positively. I have never had a positive experience with Aaron Aguilera.
Nope, working or fan.
He's been a prick face to me.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Put it this way, Jay, and again, you were there because you incited the near destruction of the no DQ camera that night,
which was an amazing evening.
You dick. However, part of that, once the camera got put back together again like Humpty friggin' Dumpty, was us getting interviews for XMB, because that's what we did. SoCal Val gave us a great thing after being master locked to the point where she was talking to us, you know, shoot, but freaking icing her neck in kayfabe and having Scott Lost help her to the pit. So funny. That was good. Aguilera and Jefe, total kayfabe interview the whole time. I'm like, okay. Whatever, dudes. Do you remember the 2016 Cena Returns to SmackDown vignettes with a slower version of The Time Is Now? That version is very right into the sunset. I swore to God, this guy and somebody coming in there can verify it. I thought that was it. I really did. I thought they were going to come back, do the thing with AJ, and then he was going to go off into the sunset. I thought sure that was it. I'm glad I was wrong, but yeah, when they were starting to do it like they did with the last Rise of Integrity, I'm like, oh. So, yeah, very, very crazy. Yes, it was the birthday clash. Oh, God. So he was there for the 316 and for the NWO birthday / the last clash. Dude, I tip my King's cap to you. That's tremendous. And he met Andre. Freaking fan hearts just overcome with the pitter patters.
I think this is going to be the last question tonight, because I don't see a better way to end it than this before we go to the shills and the plugs.
Nor do I see a short answer. Honestly,
I'll speak first,
of course,
and then I'll let you bring it home.
Okay.
In all honesty, with everything that he's got going on in Hollywood, the Peacemaker, et cetera, you know, Fast 10 parts 1 and 2. I think there's going to be another season of the Peacemaker.
Yes.
I honestly don't think he needs to go much longer after this, whatever it's going to be.
Yep.
With Theory.
Agreed.
I'm sure his body will continue to allow him to go for longer. But I think it needs to be one of those things where you don't have that resentment.
Yeah.
You go out on top. If you think about when Undertaker could have gone out as opposed to when he did go out, and the lackluster matches, some of which happened in between that time span.
Yep.
You don't want to have that. Now I really need to have that one really good one to make people forget about those that just happened.
Yeah.
And
John's been lucky.
Right now, John doesn't really have those.
No.
So let him have this, whatever it's going to be with Theory.
Yep.
Let it end with him putting Theory over. For Christ's sakes, he's been hand selected by McMahon. Forget about the scandals going on right now. Put that to the side for 5 minutes. Kayfabe wise, he has been hand selected by McMahon.
Yep.
Let him take over as the new franchise and let Cena ride off into the sunset. Would it be better to have that kind of moment at Mania?
Of course.
Of course. But there's no reason why you can't have a rematch be at Mania.
Yep.
Have whatever's going to happen at SummerSlam. Maybe have Cena enter the Rumble and have a confrontation with Theory in the middle of the match. Have the rematch be at Mania. Done. In the words of George Strait, this is where the cowboy rides away.
I look at it like this. This year, WrestleMania, this last show, we had 3 definitive ends. Good call. Absolutely agree with that, by the way. Definitive ends. You had The Undertaker going to the Hall of Fame, finally. You had Triple H retire, and you had Austin have that one more round, which we all, live on the air, by the way, pop like a motherfucker for, without a doubt. I think it would be only fitting, and this is just me piggybacking off what you said about the build, if we are indeed going to get The Rock at WrestleMania in Inglewood next year. I think The Rock's last match being there the same night as John's last match for one of the other nights is a completely perfect way to ultimately close that door on our growing up as fans era. The Rock and Cena being the last real bastions. Because yes, you are older than me. I'm not even going to try to, have the spiel on the air or whatever. But figure John Cena's rise started just before my 20th birthday. John Cena's run ends officially just after my 40th. I can't honestly think of a better way to close The Rock and John Cena's chapters, especially with John, than with me, hopefully, out there in that crowd of people somewhere. But build them both, especially Rock, because we got to find out what's going on with The Rock. This is driving me freaking crazy. Get them both to Mania, separate nights, so they both get their own time. But then that's it.
Yeah.
Start laying that groundwork for the future now, don't get me wrong, but keep paving the road after they get out of LA.
No doubt. No doubt.
That's it. All right. Lord Almighty, we got shit to plug.
I do have one other comment that popped up
Yes, sir.
that I want to bring up, but give me 1 second.
Okay. Just so you know, I have the plugs for your channel as well as mine over in my
No,
list.
that's fine.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with that.
Just making sure you were clear on that. Okay. There we go. Boop.
Okay. Come back to this real quick. You'll understand why I'm stalling in just a second.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just having fun doing the freaking lobby music ahead of time. Silence found backstage should be walking backstage from the Undertaker, and he says, "You did good, kid." In the end with a handshake. Yes, David. I am 100%. And whatever else you can contribute past that on board with that. That is great. I love it.
To come full circle from that moment on his debut.
20 years ago, yeah.
To that being his final segment.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what you may think about Cena, I think that would bring many a tear to people's eyes.
If I'm in the crowd and they do that, I'm going to need it. Dude, what is up?
Double A in the house.
Dude, talk about a throwback. I was just going to say, I'm going to need a freaking canoe to get back to the house from there because I'll be in such tear. I will be a mess. Worse than I was for different reasons than SummerSlam 14. Not even going to lie.
Yeah.
Although I was rather inconsolable that night. But yeah. Anyway.
All right, Meacham, get to the shill so we can get out of here so
yes.
people can actually see the man that they can't see.
That's right.
On Raw.
So if you missed it before we came on the air today, first of all, JJ,
go back and watch my review of Kick-Ass 2. Exclusively on the Casa D-18 Studios channel.
Yes. Speaking of exclusives.
And then we've got Renegade Recap on Tuesday. Our review of films with only one sequel and a preview of what is to come in July, which is primarily the Disney Renaissance.
There you go.
We dabbled briefly. We tipped our toes in the water, if you will, with The Little Mermaid and Rescuers Down Under last year.
Yes.
The official 2 that started the Renaissance. We're going neck deep in the water this month, baby. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Pocahontas, Mulan, Tarzan, Hunchback, etc., etc.
Dost thou say Beauty and the Beast, good sir?
I did say Beauty and the Beast, which will be Friday at the Renegades reviews. But before Friday, you skipped over.
I know.
Okay. You did it out of order on purpose. Got it.
I got you.
Wednesday, the double feature of Top Gun and
God
Top Gun
damn it.
Maverick. I don't think anybody else in the room gets that right.
I don't care. I'm going to say it till somebody understands.
Briefly, no, David, we are not on Twitch.
No.
I like to think of myself as pretty technologically sound for an older individual.
Yeah.
But the Twitches and the TikToks,
I don't get it. Yeah.
I
got nothing.
The metal robot in Return to Oz is the only TikTok I need, damn it.
And if you understand that reference, you are too damn young for the room. Okay. Anyway.
And Lisa says if it's in Cali, she'll be there for that. Continue, Meacham.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to Mania. All right. Anyway, just throwing it out there. He's not even home yet. That's okay. All right. So from Wednesday, Top Gun Maverick to Thursday, holy moly.
Season or series, we're not quite sure yet. Finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Both Ewan and Hayden have made it abundantly clear that they are more than willing to keep going.
Yep.
I will say, without going too in depth, because I want people to tune in on Thursday, damn it.
Right.
This whole season has been very Obi-Wan and Leia.
Yes,
If they
very
are
true.
going to continue, there needs to be more Obi-Wan and Luke.
Yes. Yep.
And I will just leave it at that.
Yes. But definitely, you guys know how much of a fan he is. Watch the review, because if the finale was good, his review is going to be extraordinary.
Yes. And then Saturday, new release Saturday, I will be talking about Lightyear. And minus the toys in the picture, that was very much me and my girlfriend
Yes.
sitting there watch the movie with that expression on our face, just kind of taking it all in. Drinks by our side, no popcorn. Movie theater popcorn's too damn expensive.
Yeah, it is.
We'll buy the 3-pack box at Dollar Tree and pop us our own bag. Save a hell of a lot of money.
Oh,
but
shit,
I digress.
right? Yes.
That was us watching this movie.
That's
so
awesome,
if
dude.
anybody grew up on Toy Story, or you know somebody, you have a kid that grew up on Toy Story, if you watch this movie and that is not your reaction, then see you next week.
Right. Immediately following your review of Lightyear over on your channel, my channel, I believe that's just the two we're covering this week because of people not being there on Saturday. But
yes, as we have dubbed it on the channel, Hush Money in the Bank.
yes, dun dun dun.
But yes, the Simple Man, Noah Foster, and myself will be doing the call. Noah on the play-by-play, me on the color, Jeff Meacham hosting everything, the preview, the predictions, giving his reactions to the matches,
Yes.
along with whoever may join us.
Filter in, yes,
Yes, new release Saturday is the same day as Money in the Bank, but I'm smart enough to schedule it before the coverage begins.
If you look at that time slot, there you go.
But yeah, Money in the Bank is going to be amazing. I had so much fun calling Hell in a Cell with Noah
Yes.
that this is going to be a joy. And then, of course, the traditional Jeff Meacham Network post pay-per-view open mic nights.
Yes. Yes.
I've already got one topic lined up. We'll see what you figure. We went off the air at like 11 o'clock our time last night, and within 12 hours, I already had a topic for next week. That's not good wrestling.
Not a good look, Granddad.
And specifically to you fans.
Yes.
Not anyone specific in the room. I'm talking
No.
about fandom overall.
Yes.
We'll get more in depth with it when we do open mic night on Saturday.
Yep.
But just know that this topic is very fan inspired.
I will say this before you talk about Warzone.
Yes.
Going to the Dynamite show earlier in the month, I found myself kind of sad.
Why so, good sir?
I say that because I felt so disconnected from the current fandom of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. Like, I walked around the entire perimeter of the building outside waiting for the show, just kind of talking with people and whatnot. And I'm like, I don't relate to these people. And I say that not because I don't appreciate my audience, because I love my audience.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the fan desire to do what we're going to talk about open mic night. I'll never understand that. I never have. To my knowledge, and if I'm wrong, please, Lord, don't strike me down for not remembering. I don't remember ever having done that.
No.
We know people that have. Lord knows we do. But I never felt the need to actively do stuff like that as a fan. No. And it saddens me. It's only gotten worse. And I've been away from live events for so long. I really saw it at the Forum. I went, whoa.
And if you want to know what Jeff is talking about, then you will have to tune into the coverage this Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Of not only Money in the Bank, but stay tuned afterwards for the open mic night.
Yes.
Really quickly, no, I never did
well.
watch the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command animated
Yeah.
series
Yeah.
because at the point when it was airing, I hadn't got sucked into the franchise yet.
True.
I do know my girlfriend watched it with her son, who was of age at the time and
Yes.
very much into specifically Buzz and
Right.
the franchise, but I never really watched it.
Right.
Yes, Rev Nation, Cena had some great matches. Sorry you just showed up. Go back and watch it on demand once it's over and
Yes.
check out what we thought were awesome.
Yes.
Sunday,
Sunday. Yes.
The War Zone. My weekly acquisition report where I show off some of the newest additions to my ever-growing movie library. Everything featured this Sunday is going to be stuff that I have found from Goodwill in the last few weeks.
Yes. All right.
So that's going to be a good time. And then, of course, there is the stuff over on the Jeff Meacham Network and the Jeff Meacham multiverse of affiliates. Mr. Meacham, take it away.
Well, I got about 2 minutes here. We'll blow through it here. Talk wrestling tomorrow, of course, after NXT, and of course after Renegade's recap earlier in the day at the 7 o'clock Eastern time slot. Wednesday, of course, the Greg Sherry Show. Thursday, I'm going to be watching the No DQ review and Obi-Wan Kenobi reviews because JJ's on both.
I might be on
three on No DQ, yeah. No DQ still a maybe, but Friday again, I'll be watching the review of Beauty and the Beast because I got shit to do Friday anyway. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not true. That is 100% not true. Where the hell's that graphic? Okay, we're gonna lose the curtain for a second here. I forgot to load that graphic. I'm sorry. There it is. Friday at 6:05 Eastern. I know I'm not trying to compete. I'm not meaning to, but I might move it to PM just to make sure we don't have overlap. Flair Flashback Friday, leading into his final, allegedly again, match of his career. We'll start out with his second world title win coming up at Starrcade 83 against Handsome Harley. Saturday, of course, Money in the Bank coverage, as you said. You on the call with Noah. It's going to be an awesome day. Sunday, I'm off. Check out the Warzone. Next Monday, even though it's already in the can because it's 4th of July and we did what we did at Vegas 10 years ago or 11 years ago, JJ and I, well, okay, JJ's list with me chiming in what the hell I do know about the discography, the library of Will Smith's greatest songs.
Yes.
We had fun. We really did. It was a great show. I enjoyed it in spite of my lack of knowledge. So that's what's coming up
than I thought it would.
You know, we were talking about moving it up so we could give you guys a chance to go out earlier, you know, go get your barbecue supplies, go meet up with family, whatever. Damn, you're in 2 hours anyway. It's like, well, shit. So
it's one of those things. We know we're not going to have a whole lot of people watching it as it premieres because it's 4th of July. People are going to be having barbecue, spending time with their family. That's why we taped it in the first place, so that we can do that.
It's right.
So, you know, if you don't get to tune in at 3 o'clock and check it out, then as soon as you get the free moment, as soon as the barbecue and the fireworks are over, turn it on, check it out, see what we thought. We did top 10 DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and 10 Will Smith. So 20 total songs spanning Will Smith's 35-year, roughly, music career.
And I will mention, don't forget that.
Yeah, with an honorable mention, Matt, we're doing well. You are late. We are just about to sign off.
It is time for Monday Night Raw. It's very likely time to see the franchise player emerge from behind the curtain. So
the time is now.
That's right, exactly.
For the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, I'm the Renegade JJ Williams. We will see you guys next time.